Welcome back, folks. This is part 2 of session 1, the gut journey. Are you ready? Interesting to know that what is going on in your intestine or gut is an essential part of your health. You might see it that you're only experiencing pain or discomfort of one or other sort, but in fact, your gut and your immune system are so closely linked that 70 to 80% of your immune tissue is situated in the walls of your digestive tract. Now, because our intestines are inside our bodies, most people don't realize that it forms such a protective barrier between our bloodstream and the external world. What's inside your gut is actually outside your body. That you can see what's coming up inside of you. So whatever's showing up, and we've seen this, whatever is showing up on your skin is actually coming in from the inside out. So when you're cleaning all of that up, you will see that your skin cleans up. You will see that you start losing weight. Losing weight is not about putting in only caloric low foods, but it is about getting your gut in order. So the gut has to deal with many pathogens in everything you ingest, and therefore needs to have an effective immune system in place to ward off these attacks and prevent illness, even the most common illnesses. The gastrointestinal immune cells, these things are known as Peyer's patches, and they protect the mucous membranes of the small intestine, this is where everything is getting digested and absorbed, against infection by releasing white blood cells. Now, boosting the action of these immune cells are certain strains of gut flora, gut bacteria, that prevent these pathogens from being absorbed. That is why, folks, and you will see it throughout this journey, is that it is so important to have your colony of beneficial bacteria in the gut well balanced. Now, people will say good bacteria versus bad bacteria. Now, there's actually no such thing in many instances because you need a balance. You can't get rid of the bad bacteria because it needs to do certain functions in the body along with the beneficial. But the problem we face in today's times and the onslaught of the foods and the drinks that we are consuming is that the colony, the community of bacteria in the gut especially, is so out of balance. And you've got this overgrown non-beneficial bacteria compared to the beneficial bacteria. And then when they give you antibiotics and it goes in to destroy certain pathogens within the body, what you have is these antibiotics are non-discriminatory and they go and kill the beneficial bacteria. One course of antibiotics can take your body 1 year to heal and grow back that beneficial bacteria. Can you see what antibiotics can actually do to the system? So in many instances, you can actually overcome many of these things by doing it naturally. So, with that said, in fact, now with the right balance of gut flora, your body can maintain good health. Maybe you didn't know this, but breastfeeding is very important because it colonizes the gut of a newborn baby with the beneficial bacteria from the mother, which is associated with a decreased risk of allergies and other problems of the immune system. That is also why they say it is so important that mothers give natural birth to their children, because as the child's coming through the vaginal canal, that child is equipped for life with the correct bacteria from the mother. And all of this, what does it do? It reduces all those diseases, colds, flus, and all other that the child is prone to from an early age, especially not going through the canal that it's meant to go through. That's when we're playing with what nature intended. So when the integrity of our gut is compromised, it leads to various conditions, and we're going to see that. But one of these things is called leaky gut, which means that the body is no longer protected against these invaders. And invaders like undigested food, gluten, bacteria, which have passed through the holes in the gut lining, and now it's going into the blood system. Now we know over time probiotics have tried to restore a lot of this gut bacteria, but probiotics, you must realize, come in various forms. And we're very aware of a probiotic that's been brought out into the world that is more a spore type probiotic that actually yields such conditions. We are looking further into these things to be able to see the science behind it, but we know there is some amazing technological advances in these forms of alternative care. So when we look at a compromised gut, we see what is showing up when the gut is compromised. Well, there's bleeding, there's celiac disease, Crohn's, infections, intestinal cancer, intestinal obstruction, IBS, ulcers. All of these conditions are showing up. So when the condition has shown up, just know straight away there's a compromised gut system. What we also know is that there are various conditions linked to a compromised gut health. So what you're going to be touching on briefly during this time is what we call gut microbiota. Now, gut microbiota is a complex organ involved in crucial trophometabolic, barrier, and immunological functions. What does all this mean? Well, you know what? You need a balance between different bacterial species, and different bacteria and the host can strongly influence our health. Now, what they're saying is that an unbalanced gut microbiota, and they've got a term that they use, and this term is called dysbiosis, is involved in the pathogenesis of most gastrointestinal disorders. So what are these disorders? Well, in front of you, allergy, anxiety, asthma, atherosclerosis, autism, celiac, cancer, cardiovascular diseases, depression, diabetes, gastric, ulcers, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, obesity. So obesity from eating too much? Yeah, in many instances. Eating the wrong food? Yeah, in many instances. But in many instances, we've got an unbalanced gut microbiota. We've got dysbiosis. We've got dysfunction within the gut lining. We've got dysfunction in the gut colony of all this bacteria. So what do we need to do? We need to go and repair that. And how do we do that? We do that through the digestive system. Now, the digestive system is so vital to our overall gut health that we actually fail in so many instances not to be bringing in what we call nutrient-dense and caloric-low foods. Society across the board is bringing in caloric-dense and nutrient-deficient foods into their systems. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Now we're saying, don't do this. Try and reshape and re-engineer what you're doing with your gut health. Now, I've been down this where my gut health was, and you will hear it more and more, was in a bad space at one time. But because I was able to re-engineer what I was doing with the foods I was eating, I was able to restore it and restore the ecology of the bacteria within the gut. So why is this so important to us? Well, once food comes into our mouths, whatever it is, we call food, whether you're drinking a green smoothie or having a carrot juice, whenever food comes into your mouth, chew it and chew it properly. Because while you're chewing, this food is being broken down, but while it's being broken down, even if it's a green smoothie, it's already broken down, but the enzymes, the salivary amylase begins digesting starch and the polysaccharides. Okay, so there's enzymes being produced, but not only in the mouth while you're chewing. Every organ in the body is getting ready for digesting this food that's coming through. It's not only getting ready once it hits that organ. It gets ready as soon as we're starting to chew. And what's very important when you're chewing something is you're putting your signature on it. Put your signature on it. Even if it's something you're drinking that is super healthy, the carrot juice, the green smoothie, the berry smoothie, the cacao chocolate smoothie, whichever. Chew it. So then we go into phase 2 where we got these pancreatic juices also containing digestive enzymes secreted in the small intestines. And why? Because there we're going to be digesting the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals. So, and as this food is going down, obviously we want it to be broken down as much as we can when it's coming to the mouth. And so many times, I see it all around us. Even when you're eating unconsciously, you're swallowing before the food is actually properly broken down into smaller pieces. You could even double up on your chewing efforts straight away, and you will see that you're already starting to digest your food better. So there's a form of what we call conscious eating. And when you're eating consciously, you're digesting consciously, and you're absorbing consciously. It's when we just throw in these foods in our system that it's not getting absorbed, and we're sitting with all these other problems with bloating and indigestion and so much more. And that was me, folks. I used to eat just to get the calories and the protein in my system. And I sat with all these things. But because of the purpose of why I was doing it, I just continued doing it until it got to such a stage that I had to change. Because if I didn't, I would have been suffering to this day. So in phase 4 of this digestion, and this is a very simple diagram and a very simple explanation, but just giving you an idea, in stage 4 you will see the green intestine there is your large intestine, and no further digestion happens there. But what's important to know there is this is where the cancers, although cancer is being found throughout the system, a lot of colon cancer is being found right at the bottom there where it says your sigmoid colon. We're sitting with cancerous growths there. So the food is sitting in this large intestine for a very long time. It's rotting. It's not fermenting only. It's rotting. And it's not coming through. So that's why that fiber is so important. The cleansing process is a daily process. It's not a once-off process. It's daily. We are moving the food through our system all the time. Now, that colon cancers, when you go and do your own research about this, you'll also find the colon cancers are ending up also higher up in the colon, in the descending colon, right at the top part of the green large colon, in the transverse colon. So various parts of the colon are being infected by colon cancer. Folks, you don't want to be sitting with that. So there's ways to clean it. We're going to touch on a few ways in session 2 on how to clean out the system. But it's going to take you, your own goals on how to be able to achieve your cleansing process. And in our further classes, in our master class immediate and our master class advanced, we're going to actually be taking you through online sessions on how to do this in even greater depth. So what do we need to look at? When we're not eating correctly and the gastrointestinal tract integrity is compromised, we find that the ileum and the jejunum ends up as an acid milieu. So this is where the large and the small colons are meeting, and where the colons are meeting the gut. We sit with so much acid there, and it's got to be alkaline to be able to absorb. So as more acid is accumulated, what we're finding is the tissue in the colon begins to deteriorate. It's actually, there's a rusting that's happening within the arteries and the veins. So when we look at gastrointestinal tract integrity, there's various causes. And to go back, yes, you can do that, and you can have a look at what you're doing today or yesterday. But at the end of the day, this is where you sit. You sit with a compromised system. The impact of that is you have lowered gastrointestinal integrity, which means you're not absorbing your food as you should, especially the heavier proteins, the animal products, the dairy products. And then you also have an increased system overload. And what is that doing? Well, when there's that overload, straight away the body is producing these excess acids, trying to buffer what is coming in. Now, if you're eating these foods ongoingly, if you eat it now and then, once off, once a week, you're sure the body can repair from what it had to endure, or what you had to put it through. What I say is love your gut, love yourself. Once you know how to do that, you'll be very cautious on what you're putting into your gut. We don't want to go and harm somebody that we love. We don't want to harm the gut. We should not be abusing it. And how did we get to that point? I ask myself that question. How did I get to the point to actually go and abuse my internal organs from what I was doing? And the simple answer is I was programmed through messages, through information that was not beneficial at that point in time. So what do we want to do? We want to be able to prevent all these things that is happening to us. How do we prevent it? We can't go back and change right now, But what we can do is we can make small changes every single day of our lives going forward to be able to prevent any gastrointestinal tract from being compromised, from being unhealthy, and having those multitude of conditions showing up into the future. So while we're speaking about the risk of a compromised gut system, please bear with us so that you have this basis to be able to determine the information required to take your next step. I know what my next step is, and I can share with you what your next step should be, but nobody can force you. You got to understand. And if you're looking at it from what is happening and what can happen if you don't do anything about it, then it's over to you, folks. So what we're going to be doing, this is wrapping up part 2 of session 1, where we've had a look at these potential risks of a compromised gut system. What we are going to do in the next session, and we suggest you stay tuned for part 3 of session 1, where we're going to go and look at the firefighter. And what is this firefighter? This firefighter is the root cause behind all conditions. Now, if you're not understanding that, you're going to bring about so many other conditions upon yourself. But if you do and you get that message, you're able to most probably, with 20% effort, affect 80% of what is happening to you right now or what could happen to you in the future. And if there's nothing happening to you right now, what you could do with 20% insights, you'll change your life, energetically wise. If you're a sports person and you just learn how to become the firefighter with what is natural, you'll be able to increase your sleeping quality, your energy, your output, your cognitive function. There's so many things you do once you come to understand these things. So folks, love your gut. You deserve it. This is Peter Smoniak signing off session 2, and we look forward and can't wait to see you in the next part. That is part 3 of session 1. Take care.